And, they argue about what the world order should be. And so you have more conflict. So that dynamic, has happened repeatedly through history. And so, that's, yes, like this is how it happens. You have an economic problem. You have the big gaps. You have the big fights, internal or external. Then you have the big resets, and then you have the new world order. That's what it looks like. It's difficult because you have to do what you need to do given your circumstances. So it might be like somebody later in life who has smoked too much, who has, eaten badly, and so on, and they're coming up the set of circumstances, and you say, can it be avoided? So there is certainly better and worse things to do, like the capacity, if we can work well together, if we can work well together in a united and calm way to do the smart things, we can make this go all right. It would be fine. But because you have to deal with, for example, financially, how much debt restructuring takes place, how much debt monetization, how do you engineer that correctly? How do you stop fighting with each other so that you can work together? Like, if I was president of the United States, what I would do is I'd have a bipartisan cabinet, and I would take moderately left and moderately right representatives of both parties and who are smart. And I would say, you have to engineer an economic and financial plan that you believe is good, and you have to get control of the extremes in your party so that you can pursue a united path. I almost wouldn't care what that policy is, just as long as it's done smartly and in a bipartisan way. And then you would have to do the same internationally. Like how do you deal with the awkward issues like that you're dealing with, such as the issues that we're dealing with China. So you'd have to have that kind of behavior. You could say, if we do that, like I have a principle: if you worry, you don't have to worry, and if you don't worry, you need to worry, because if you don't worry, if you worry, you'll probably avoid the thing you're worrying about. And I hope we can make that clear that we should worry, and here's what it looks like. And then maybe you go less to the brink and you try to work it out. If we don't worry about it, I think we're going to be in a problem. So I think from a very practical point of view, you have to ask yourself, what are the probabilities of us doing those things? And there are better things that we can collectively do. And then individuals themselves have to know, how to take, they may not be able, we collectively may not be able to handle these things very well. And how do you protect yourself? What do you do individually? Yes, I'd like to just mechanistically describe things without, who's right, who's wrong, and all that. So let me just describe it. There are two types of issues. There's a bunch of issues. Let's put them into two categories. Let's call it sanctions type issues. China supporting Russia, maybe with military technology. The chips, what chips do they use? What chips don't, are allowed? Then there's something called reverse CFIUS. Are you allowed to invest in China? You're not allowed to invest in China, and so on.